The story, you could see the U.S. oil imports to China absolutely collapse as you see Canadian imports skyrocket. Just the latest of many moves China has made as payback for Donald Trump's escalating trade war.
So there's a ton of publications and media outlets running this exact story right now, and I think it originated with Bloomberg. I think they were the first one. And then like 25 other, media outlets basically copied the story, right? That's how this works. They copy the story and run it. Now, the story is that China has reduced imports of U.S. oil by 90% because it's 3 million barrels, and back in June, it was 30 million barrels. The problem is it was June of 2023, and that was a huge outlier. They don't normally import 30 million barrels of oil a day from the United States. They did it once in 2023, and they did it once during COVID. This is a better picture of what the imports look like in China, right? Here's the 31 million barrels, but you can see all the other months, right? You don't see any other 31s on there. In January, it was 4. In December, it was 2. So it's just not true that they've reduced imports by 90%. I do believe 100% that they will reduce those imports, though, by 100%. They've already reduced imports of LNG by 100%, and I believe they will stop importing American oil completely if this tariff trade war thing doesn't get solved very quickly. They will stop because they don't have to buy any of our oil or gas. They can get that stuff anywhere. So I do believe they will. It just hasn't happened yet. And to say it has is simply not true. Now, here's the other thing. So this is the chart that is shown in every one of these stories on every one of these publications talking about the big rise in Canadian imports into China and the big drop in U.S. oil into China. The problem is this is like a year old. This isn't current. This is a year old. This is when China first started buying oil from Canada when they opened the Trans Mountain Pipeline last year. This is their first shipment right here. So China's plan was always to purchase more and more oil from Canada and replace that with sanctioned oil. So what they were going to do was they were going to buy more Canadian oil, WCS, and they were going to buy less sanctioned oil, either from Russia or Iran. But that was their plan, right? And then Donald Trump starts a trade war. So instead of buying more Canadian oil and less sanctioned oil, they're buying more Canadian oil and less U.S. oil. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Because Donald Trump is a person that exists in 2025. Yes. But China buying more oil from Canada is not a result of the trade war or the tariffs. That's a thing that was always going to happen. When China stops buying U.S. oil, and I'm telling you, I'm predicting that they are. They haven't yet, but I'm predicting that they are. That will be a result of the tariffs and the trade war, 100%. But for some reason, all these people think that China's only buying oil from Canada because of the trade war, and it's simply not true. They had contracts in place 2 years ago before their pipeline was even finished. Canada's oil is cheap, and it ships right out of Vancouver straight to China. The shipping's cheaper, the price of the oil is cheaper. They were always going to buy it. They have refineries that can refine it. So regardless, for my friends in Canada, regardless what happens in this trade war, China is going to continue buying your oil at a better price than the United States is probably paying for it. And as for why all these media outlets got it wrong, well, let's be honest. They didn't ask me, right? They didn't ask me. Thanks.